So we're all waiting to go into the rooms. You wait out here with all this good food and just wait to go in.
No, I'm good. 6 in. I don't even know what. 6 in.
So when you first read the script, what was your initial reaction and what did you think the audience would take away from the picture?
Like I read it first in my bathtub. That's where I read all my scripts. Weirdly enough, hope that's not creepy. And I literally like bawled my eyes out. Like I mean, I just knew these kids, man. I grew up with these kids, and even though I didn't grow up in the story or in the '80s, but I just knew these kids. I knew every one of them, and I had every one of them in my life, and it just I don't know. I feel like that everyone loves these stories. Everyone just loves these like Stand By Me type stuff, and and the growing pains of separating and going off and living your own lives and learning and I don't know. I feel like everyone can relate to it. I don't know if anyone will learn anything, but you have one life. Don't waste it. Don't fuck it up. You just use it as best you can, and don't regret anything. Do exactly what you want to do, not because you feel like you should or you have to do something.
Was there anything in particular you did to, say, get into character for this role as opposed to what you did with other movies you've been in?
Yeah, you got to tap into a very dark place, very animalistic place, a very aggressive type. I found myself on the street, if I bumped into somebody, not really that I was in character, but it was just kind of, I don't know, you dig up these feelings of about to snap on somebody all the time, and you have to think of memories that made you feel insecure or scared or whatever, so it makes you have these reactions and makes them real for you, and you have all these emotions just boiling underneath, and you're kind of it was very just real. I'm not a method. I don't even know what that is. I think that I do a lot of method things, but I don't know. It was very, I don't know. It was very sort of real. It was very real to try to get into this guy, and which other movies have been sort of surreal. She's the Man was a comedy. It was very cheek and tongue, or whatever you call that thing, and it was very outside of the norm and whatnot. So I think this was just very real for me.
What movies have inspired you that wanted to make you get into the business? You like Star Wars, or what inspired you as a young man?
Let's see, Goonies. I love Goonies. Stand By Me. Those are these friendship stories, these kid stories, that people love. And then you also have my Star Wars was probably Braveheart. I love Braveheart, man. I don't know why. I have no idea why. I'm not even Scottish or anything, but I just did. I loved it. I loved the honor of it, and everything. I love Star Wars. Don't get me wrong. That movie's all of them are genius. But I don't know. I've just always loved movies. Everything about movies, all kinds of movies. It doesn't have to be adventure movies. It doesn't have to be war movies. It can be anything. I've always loved them. I just never knew I could actually be in them. Now that it's possible, it's the sky's the limit sort of thing.
Yeah, what's the next picture you're going to be in?
I'm doing right now a movie called Stop Loss, and it's basically about the war. It's not a war film. It's more about these relationships of these people that come back, and it's kind of like this movie in a lot of ways. It's about the relationships that people have with each other and the things that happen in their life that affect them and then make them change and be different from what they used to be, and change their relationships and as a byproduct.
Cool. And my final question is: was there ever a time in the business where maybe you thought you would make it because it's so difficult to break in? And for all the young people watching now, do you have any advice to them for breaking in, and once you break in, to just feel stable in the business?
To be honest with you, I don't really know if you ever feel stable in the business, because once you get in, it's always constantly all right, what am I gonna do now? As soon as you get the job, your agents are pushing you to look down the road to get another job, and that's kind of the nature of the beast. So you never ever really feel I think maybe once you get older, you start to realize that it's not really that heavy. You know, you can take your time, but you know, I thank God I have Chaz and everybody to like really hold my hand through this thing. You know, and he's been an amazing help to me, and really just keeping my head on. And you know, so I don't know, but the breaking in, there is no rhyme or reason to it. There's no like patent logic, uniform way of breaking in. Every single one of us that's an actor that has done things has had a different way in. Like I got in through modeling, you know, like other people went through like did years and years of theater work, and then they came over and they finally did, you know, some film. Some of them have just got saw on the street, like my friend Rob Brown, like he just literally got almost saw on the street, like and brought into a movie. And so there's no tried formula. You just have to be ready, and all you can truly do is work on your craft, and that's it. I mean, like you just don't worry about becoming famous. Don't worry about getting a job. I mean, yeah, you try to get jobs, but don't worry about what you know, what you're gonna do, how you're gonna make it, how you're gonna be famous. Just make sure that you are doing something every day to becoming a better actor. You know, because jobs will usually come if you're working hard at becoming a great actor. Eventually, even if it's a Sprite commercial or something, you know, you're gonna get something. You know, there's always, and it's lots of times like when you go on an audition, everybody knows you only get like one out of every like 100 of them or whatever, and like less than that mostly. And it's just kind of nuts, like when you think about the percentages and the people that actually do get them. When you don't get them, it's not because you can't act, or it's not because you're not good looking enough, or you weren't crazy enough, or weird enough, or whatever. Like it's usually just simply you just weren't that person, that you just weren't that character. Your acting was great, you know, you look fine, you just simply weren't the character, you know, weren't what they were looking for. What might be, didn't have a beard, you know, it might be that you had blue eyes instead of brown, you know, maybe that you didn't look ethnic, maybe that you seemed too soft, you know, like you weren't of physical presence, you know, or you might be too much. A lot of my career, they're like, he's too intimidating, you know, for this role. So I get passed up, and it's kind of like I just have to deal with it. You know, and I don't get offended. You just kind of have to figure out either how to make yourself softer, or you figure out the roles to go for.
Cool. Great. Thanks a lot.
Definitely.
Thanks
Thank
a
you,
lot,
man. For sure.
Have a good one.
Definitely. You too. Thank you so much, man. Did you like the movie?
Oh, yeah, it was great.
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
No, yeah.
I'm going to see it again. I'll pay for it later, too.
Ah, sweet. Man, I love that. Thank you
Just
so
scared
much.
a bit with the toes. I think it's
Thanks.
sexy.
Where is it?
Yeah, that looked good. How's it going? Nice to meet you. Nice to meet you. Cool.
You get your own setup too.
Yep. Both of them.
Okay.
You don't mind, right? No. Okay, cool.
David?
Yep.
You have 5 minutes?
Cool.
And I'll tap you on your shoulder when you have 1 minute left.
Cool, thanks.
Stand by.
So, what was the inspiration for writing, directing this picture?
Well, you know, I wrote a book just because I like to write, you know. I was always like a songwriter, so it just turned into a book, you know, a bunch of songs really, you know, about different people. And I was working in the dub room with a guy who ended up being one of the editors on the film, and we went out and shot a little video of something based on this one little piece of the book, and it felt kind of good, you know, we were excited, and then we made a 6-minute one of those, and it was like, wow, this really is fun. And we're both huge movie fans. I'm a fanatic, and it just started feeling like maybe we can do this, and you know, so I don't know. I didn't do it to get a career. I did it because I had to tell this story. I don't know, you know, for whatever reason. Just
What
was
are
exciting.
some of your favorite movies, and what movies inspired you?
A million. A bit of everything. I mean, the references I can give you trip you out. But I mean, I love movies like Carlito's Way. I love that film. Maybe it's not the obvious thing you'd call for Brian De Palma, but something about that film that just kills me. In 25th Hour by Spike Lee. I love that film. Of course, I love like Kids by Larry Clark. Everything. I mean, you know, everything and nothing. You know, I tend to hate so many films too, but
Right.
I'm a huge Spike Lee fan. I mean, I just love his films. Even if I don't like the film, I like it's like a Bob Dylan record. You know, there's always a good song on it. It's worth getting it. You know. So
You see the documentary he recently made?
it's the
about
only
it?
thing I haven't seen, and I can't wait to see.
Yeah, you've been a little busy, I guess.
Yeah, it's been a little crazy, but yeah, I can't wait to see it. Yeah.
In terms of casting, how pleased are you? Because you got so many amazing actors in this. When you heard so-and-so wants to do it and so-and-so, what was your reaction?
Well, my first reaction was no. I couldn't believe it because, you know, independent movies with famous people, to me, reek of a rat. And they turned me off pretty quick. And movies like City of God say, you know, I think even if you put, you know, Robert De Niro in it, it would screw it up. You know, so with my film, I was doing open calls all over New York, trying to get kids off the street, people off the street. And luckily I got a few of them in this film that ended up being great. And then the blessing was the last thing I expected, you know, with all the people that you knew coming into the film. To me, initially sounded like a bad idea. I was like, because I'm a fan. I think Sylvester Stallone is Rocky. I think Chaz is Sonny. He wrote Sonny. Sylvester Stallone wrote Rocky. It's very different, you know. But as a fan, it's tough, you know, to. But I had that lucky combination of people that were famous enough and marketable enough to make producers happy, but also appropriate and really great to make me happy. Because the last thing I thought about was opening in interviews. It was who's going to be the best person, and luckily, no one on earth could have been Monty or Florrie more than Chaz or Diane Wiest, and I feel like that literally from top to bottom of my cast. Like I wouldn't recast a single person in it, and I know that sounds typical director baloney, but I wouldn't recast a human in it, and I wouldn't have cast half of them initially. So it was a learning experience for me, and a good one. You know.
What do you want the audience to take away when they're walking out of the theater? What do you want them to discuss?
I don't know. I mean, I hope they enjoy the film. I enjoy it a whole lot, you know. The only plan that we had making the film was, and it was very important, the most important thing for me, and this is just on making the film, was there were no villains in my film, and there's no bad guys. And it's a film filled with love, and we even say, in one part, Diane Wiest has a line that, to me, sums up every character in this movie, except for maybe the lead character. But and she says, you know, if you put a lie detector test, they pass it with flying colors. They're all meant the best. They all were filled with love. Some of them came from horrible, abusive homes that I didn't experience, which I can only imagine. But they were filled with love. So much I didn't know what to do with themselves. And maybe they did a couple of crazy things, but you know, that would be that's what I was intending to make. You know, what people take, you never know. You know.
Cool. Great. Thanks a lot. Thanks for everything.
Cool.
Great
Thank
movie.
you. All right. Thank you.
My name is davidjr.com.